who is like melting right now. Surprising. So guys, let's start. We are on ECC, Ethereum Community Conference, and we have a perfect guest. Today we're going to talk about the future of rollups and the multi-chain. We'll try to speak about what is better, what is the future, how the industry will shape in the near future. And there will be some jokes, of course. You guys can ask any questions about the projects. So let me introduce myself and the speakers. So here we have speakers from Beamer Bridge, Jacob. And the Beamer Bridge is a bridge between different layer 2s. We have Izzy from Lido. We have Megan from 0x project. Hello Megan, this is the QT aggregator. And we have Nenad from DefiSaver. And Sarang from Sushi.
Hey.
Yeah, you know vampire attacks, right? Like he's not vampire, I checked twice.
Sorry? Oh yeah.
Okay, the mirror showed he's not vampire. So Sushi right now is a perfect tool, not just useful fork, right? I'm Alex Yudushev. I'm founder of GTON Capital. GTON Capital is a rollup, activistic rollup, which is using multicultural stablecoin as a gas currency. So if you have any questions for our project, you can catch us, ask any questions after the panel. So guys, last year was boom of layer 1s, right? Like started from the Binance chain and then I don't know, Polygon and then more and more. And I was thinking that it's kind of, it's not a meme that we will find a new Ethereum killer based on Ethereum basically, right? So this year people are talking about rollups as the next big thing. And what do you think? Is it true or not? This is a blitz question. Just say yes or no. Is future is rollup-centric or not? No, it's working.
Can you guys hear me? Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I feel like it is. So yeah, yes.
Yes, okay. Next question.
Partially.
Full yes.
Okay.
I agree with partially.
I also like it.
Also yes. It sounds like we'll have a pretty short panel discussion then.
Yeah, so let's guys, let's go home. Okay, guys, please introduce yourself. Let's start from here and tell about your project.
Yeah, so I'm Sarang. I work at Sushi. I take care of the smart contract side of it. We are just not a Uniswap fork. We evolved from it. We forked Uniswap. We launched our exchange, but now we have like a lot of DeFi suits already. We do lending, borrowing. We have like a limit order protocol. We have like a Ventobox vault system. We have like NFT marketplace upcoming. So we have like diverged into a lot of different directions, trying to rule everywhere we go. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan. I'm working at 0x. I'm an integrations engineer for the 0x API. And what we're doing is basically finding the best price out of many different liquidity sources, which can be DEXs and other ones, and allowing other developers to offer this best price to their users.
So guys, if you want to dump the coin, Megan will help you to find the best price. Next one.
Anyway, when I use Sushi, so I can just come here.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Nenad. I'm the co-founder and CEO of DefiSaver. We're a DeFi aggregator where you can find all your favorite DeFi protocols in one place. We have tools for like borrowing, leveraging, yield farming, and so on. Obviously, check out at app.defisaver.com and then go.
Hey guys, I'm Izzy. I'm the master of validators at Lido. Lido is a cross-chain liquid staking protocol whereby basically you can take native assets, stake them through Lido, and you get liquidity and optionality on those assets as opposed to them being locked.
And hello, I'm Jacob. I'm the product owner of Beamer Bridge, which is a purely rollup-to-rollup bridge. And this gives us a lot of nice properties, but especially we have probably the best guaranteed security of all bridges because we rely on Ethereum layer 1 for any kind of dispute resolution.
So guys, the question to the Lido, because it's multi-chain, and to the Beamer. So the question is it possible to solve the composability issue with a multi-chain approach in rollups, and how?
Like today, or like 5 years in the future?
Your answer.
So, today, no. 5 years in the future, maybe. The difficulty, like when you're considering these concepts, like first of all, multi-chain transportability and composability, and then roll-up composability, like within a roll-up or cross-roll-up composabilities, if you put them together, they get exponentially more difficult. So when we're thinking of staked assets, which is like what Lido obviously specializes in, sometimes there are peculiarities of staked assets that are specific to the specific chains that we're staking, right? So staking on Ethereum is different to staking on Solana, which is different to staking on Polygon, for example.
On Terra, staking on Terra.
Yeah, staking on Terra was really, really complex. Now it's a little bit easier.
No money, no problem.
So the idea of being able to transport these assets between multiple chains is like really complex by itself. It's something that Lido like is actually doing. You know, you can take STETH and wrap it and send it via like bridges to Solana, for example. But then using the idea that you can transport it to an L2 and then transport it between L2s, it's even more complex because different rollups work in different ways. You know, you have optimistic rollups and you have zero knowledge rollups, and the idea of finding like ensuring that the token behaves in the same way in both of the different like environments, and also the differences in terms of like finality has a really large effect on whether this is something that can be solved like in general, and to what extent it can be effective and efficient.
Is it true? Being a bridge?
So I think we somewhat agree that it's super difficult. That's also why we decided to only do rollups for our bridge, because like it's one thing we can do and we can do it well. We don't have to worry about how Solana's EVM is working or if it's the same gas prices as it is on Ethereum. So at least we cut away some of the noise, and a lot of bridges are already doing generalized bridging. So we figured why not do one thing and do it extremely well, trying to do it extremely well. But on the other hand, we can also say like just having to try to go to mainnet or deploy on Optimism and Arbitrum, just these two are already super different and both introduces a lot of different issues for us when we want to do like a mainnet version of our product. So there are definitely a long way to go still before we are beyond the compatibility issue.
Thank you. Question to the DefiSaver. Guys, how you are managing the multi-chain portfolio for the users?
For us, it's pretty easy because we generally don't believe too much in the multi-chain future. So we have like Ethereum mainnet and Arbitrum and Optimism. So currently it's just like pretty easy to do things about it. It solves itself. So.
Interesting answer. So you're Ethereum Maxi, right?
I'm Ethereum.
Maxi.
A bit.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Anyone from Polygon here? No one.
Good.
So, question to the 0x and the Sushi. Guys, your products are multi-chain, right? So, first question to the Sushi. Is it worth of being multi-chain product or not?
Oh yeah, totally. Like Sushi would have been dead if we were not multi-chain, first of all.
Oh.
So we are like kind of leaders in a lot of different chain. Like say take example of Arbitrum, right? And we are very bullish on the multi-chain architecture that we have. So for going forward, right now we have an architecture where you have to just go and flip different chains, which is quite annoying, right? Sushi is moving towards a new architecture where you see everything in one dashboard. So now when you go to yield farming, you see all the best opportunities across all the network in just one page. And not only just that, we are integrated with different types of bridges. And we're just launching like cross-chain swaps like tomorrow or day after. So that's going to let you ape into good yield strategies from any chain you are. So for a user now it becomes chain agnostic, right? He doesn't care about what chain he is. He just signs MetaMops top-ups and we just do all the bridging and handle all the complexity for it. So yeah, this is what experience we want to create for the users when it comes to multi-chain.
So recently you deployed the multi-chain aggregator as well. Right?
Yeah, so we obviously we can't be like a swap aggregator on the multi-chain level, but we are like a bridge aggregator. To start with, we have integrated Stargate, but we are in talks with a lot of different bridges, any swap socket, and use that. But we're also looking deeply at cross-chain communication, and our future products are gonna be mostly cross-chain communication compatible.
So Megan, question to you.
Yeah, I think for us it's also definitely worth it. Also just from like the business level, our mission, we really want to facilitate the exchange of everything that's tokenizable. So if the liquidity is moving to all these different chains, of course we have to be there and we want to enable that experience for users to exchange across different networks and just exchange wherever value is.
Interesting. So guys, the question for anyone will answer. How to be sure that, okay, I will rephrase the question, like how many days since the bridge is deployed it will be hacked? In average.
Okay. So I think in our case it will never be hacked. It's like we're using a one-out-of-one multi-chain, multi-sig and have the private key tattooed in here. No one will ever see the private key. Not even my wife. No, to be honest.
Social.
So we're not doing a bridge that has a multi-sig or anything like that. We have no control over any of the funds, and they're never like. I think most of the bridges that get hacked are these bridges that do like lockup and mint or permanent mint, where you basically say, okay, on Ethereum I want to transfer 100 ETH from Ethereum to Terra or whatever, or Axie Infinite, and then these multisigs they hold the tokens, but that's not how FEMA works. Like all of us, what we have is smart contracts and some agents with a private key, but that's all there is to it. We don't ever hold any tokens in custody. So I think in general it's just bad design and stupid choices by some of these bridges, and it's not how we should do it. But again, then we're back to being Ethereum maxis, and we also care about doing stuff right. We're all in on the decentralization stuff and transparency stuff and using smart contracts as they're supposed to be used. So yeah, I think the next bridge that will be hacked is not like doing it right.
Okay, interesting. So you're not opening PDFs, right? On the job offer.
Sorry, what?
I'm just trying to make a joke about running bridge hack. Yeah, so basically it's just one dev has access to the majority of the nodes, right? Open the PDF as the job offer, and then it started.
It's what bear market makes you do, open job offers.
No, not in the PDF. Okay, cool guys. The next question. Let's do it with Blitz. Let's do it Blitz. Rollups or multi-chain?
Probably both.
Okay, rollups or multi-chain?
Rollups are multi-chain, no? So both.
Yeah.
Correct.
Rollups or multi-chain? Rollups or multi-chain?
Both.
Okay, rollups or multi-chain?
We believe in rollups.
In rollups. So we have half of the people who is Ethereum maxer, right? You don't believe any alternative layer ones. Why?
I didn't say this. I think it really depends on the use case, and it depends what people are looking for. So, for people who care about something that maybe is serious offer, another chain would be, I don't know. I think everybody has their own interests.
I also feel like there would be a lot of dash-specific chains as well. So since now it will be like easier for you guys to create like rollups and stuff set up like that. So we'll see, like companies like DAO Maker for rollups, where you can deploy your one-click rollup kind of solution, where you can just create like your application-specific rollup, launch a token, and still posse the money out.
Yeah. Interesting approach. So guys.
We actually see app-specific rollups as a big use case in the future as well. Like in gaming, for example, we talked to a couple of projects that are like, yeah, we want to deploy our own version of some rollup and have our game run there, but we want the in-game token to be able to easily bridge it to Arbitrum, Optimus, or wherever we have an exchange running that can actually exchange this whatever in-game coin. So I think app-specific rollups will be a huge thing in the future, which is only a good thing for us because we will be able to support these rollups. But I think that's one of the next big things is that projects will just deploy their own rollup to run one thing. What you see with Starknet, I guess, there's a lot of games running on different entities of Starknet, so it makes sense.
Interesting. So, do you want to add something?
Yeah. So I think this is an interesting question because basically it boils down to how many settlement layers do you think there will be in the long term, right? Will there be one major or winner takes most settlement layer, or will it be kind of like widely distributed? So I think regardless of how ideological you are about this, right, whether you're an Ethereum maxi or not, you will acknowledge that there are niches that, at least in the short to medium term, are filled by alternative settlement layers. Now, to what extent those settlement layers have like long-term sustainability and longevity is something that like only reality can decide, and like the markets and pragmatism. But on the other hand, if you like encourage an ecosystem where everything settles on one layer, and then there's a huge problem with this one layer, you have a huge problem everywhere. So from a risk management standpoint and a risk mitigation standpoint, until like blockchain protocols become very, very robust and very, very like risk tolerant, I don't think it makes sense in the immediate future to like push for only one settlement layer.
Do you want to add something?
You mean like you want to create a rollup on Polygon instead of Ethereum?
Sorry?
You mean you want to create a rollup on Polygon instead of Ethereum?
I mean, right now, like, I don't know what Polygon has announced yet, but I don't know if how long they're going to remain like a totally independent L1 settlement layer. But I think there are other settlement layers that want to do things differently, that are proposing kind of a different way of doing things. And it's up to like users and the market to decide if that's something that they want to go forward with in the future. And obviously there's different kind of interests and concerns around how much attention is brought to these chains, and then like whether adoption is really sustainable adoption or it's short-term adoption. But it's definitely a bit scary, I think, to throw all our eggs in one basket at this point.
You want to add something?
Yeah, just wanted to add, like, even though we are kind of joking around like Ethereum, I fully see like there are other L1s that have some legitimate use cases. It's only like from our perspective, we're kind of believing most in the Ethereum vision, and that's kind of what we're betting on currently. I fully believe that in a year, 2, 3 years, 5 years, there's gonna be like different L1s with different use cases. It's just that like in the long term, I think most even L1s will become a layer 2 solution to some chain. Maybe not Ethereum, maybe something different. But
Cardano.
Yeah, it's Charles here, okay. But yeah, like not hating on Polygon, they're great, like they're doing a great job and so on. Just currently, like we're most interested in rollups, and I think like in Polygon is gonna release their own rollup. So after that, like it's we can talk.
So I think Shouts right now on Ethereum Classic Community Conference. So okay, guys, there's a question about non-EVM chains. And since last year, I noticed that almost all of them are moving to EVM somehow. Like started from the Near with Aurora, then it was like New with Solana, and I heard 2 weeks ago that Cardano is doing EVM session. Or it probably might not Mars, but I heard it. So what do you think? Will or is it any sense for non-EVM chains somehow via EVM chains?
Like EVM is like that JS thingy, right? Where everybody hates it, but that's the only thing everybody wants to write on. So it's about the wideness of how EVM has evolved, right? Like even though it has like some practices that a lot of people don't agree to, but they're gonna eventually write those practices on top of it with insecure code. So yeah, that's probably the wider audience has decided as far as what I could see from the ecosystem.
Megan, are you working with non-EVM chains?
We are planning to, but so far now we are only on EVM chains.
You could just wait. They are all integrated in. Even Cosmos, they did it with Evos. I forgot to mention it. Polka with the new Moonbeam, right? I was just thinking like, then it will be lost.
Avalanche also?
Of course.
I basically like totally agree. Like currently the EVM is so like JavaScript. Everybody uses it. It's not one of the first smart contract languages. People are used to writing Solidity. People are used to kind of all the flaws, not all the flaws, but most of the flaws we already know. Even if you introduce a new paradigm, a new language, it's better. It's yet to go over all the DAO hacks, all the rent hacks and everything. Solidity as quad and EVM as quad, it's kind of tested, we know what's going on.
I was talking with some auditor firms. They are doing audits for EVM, for Solidity, and for Solana. And I was asking why there is not so many hacks on Solana. And they told me that it is impossible to hack that something if you cannot read, right? So, but I think it's anyway will be on EVM.
Yeah. I mean, that anecdote is a bit suspect. Like, security through obscurity is not a really great security concept. But I agree with all of the other speakers before me. And maybe to paraphrase, a well-known idiom, if the degen is not going to go to the mountain, then the mountain needs to come to the degen, right?
I'm good.
Okay, guys, we have questions. We have time for questions from the audience. Just put your hands up if you have any questions about this topic. Somebody. Don't be shy. So we have a shy audience.
So I have a question actually for Beamer. So you made some pretty spicy statements earlier that basically all the other bridges don't really know what they're doing. So no, can you as somebody that doesn't know that much about bridges, can you tell us about your bridging protocol and how it works that differently than the multi-sig-signer bridges?
Okay, now you're putting me on the spot. No,
So you did it to yourself, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think a lot of the bridges they have, and they know what they're doing. I think a big problem is that they try to do everything. They try to be very generalized, whereas we said, what do we know? We know the Ethereum ecosystem. We know rollups. Let's build a bridge just for this, because we also do believe that the future will be rollup-centric. Since we've been around for a long time, I think we did our first pull request to Ethereum in March 2014, so 1.5 years before Nenad. So we're big Ethereum maxis and we believe in decentralization and all these things. So we built a bridge that focused on security, being decentralized, transparency, not having any multi-sig stuff, no burn and link stuff. It's just a bridge that relies on smart contracts and Ethereum layer 1 for dispute settlement.
So for idiots like me, how does the bridge work without multi-sigs and without burn and mints?
For me, it's more like I have no idea how bridges work with burn and mints, why anyone would ever do it and feel good about it. But I think in general, our bridges is more like atomic swaps. So you lock tokens, or you don't lock it, you put it into smart contract, say anyone who fills this on another rollup will be able to claim these tokens at a later point in time. And if there are any disputes, you do an escalation game and you settle on layer 1 ultimately. Same security assumptions as Ethereum layer 1. And I don't believe any other bridges has this at the moment.
So you're basically a parking lot for tokens. That's what you're saying.
No.
Oh, okay, my bad.
What if I say you can just burn the bridges, right? So you're essentially using cross-chain messaging, right? So you can create compatible tokens which can directly just teleport. So we're writing a ERC teleport standard, so you can just teleport from one chain to another without actually locking, right? And the other benefits, almost all the tokens you use right now are upgradable, right? USDC, USDT, and whatnot, right? So they have a way for them to make it upgradable and compatible. So do you think it's easier to shift the narrative towards a more cross-chain approach rather than calling it bridges and stuff like that?
Sorry, I need the question one more time for the last part.
Oh yeah, so do you think it's better to call the narrative as cross-chain messaging rather than bridges, because bridges under the hood use cross-chain messaging itself, right? So take the example of Layer 0 and Stargate. Layer 0 is essentially a cross-chain messaging, and Stargate is built by the state. I don't know if it's the same team or different, but I think it's the same one. Built another protocol which is like a bridge on top of it, right? But their core service is still messaging itself, right? So if you build something like this, it's going to reduce the attack surface a lot, and it's going to make composability better, right? Because you don't have to provide liquidity to the bridges. So do you think the phrase "we're going to burn the bridges" sounds accurate to you?
Yeah, potentially. I would also not we qualify as a bridge, but we don't really bridge the tokens with it. We just atomic
do cross-chain, right?
Yeah, but we don't do the cross-chain stuff. We just wanted to focus on doing one thing and doing it well. I know about Nomad, the Layer 0, which is mostly messaging systems, and they work well. They're still slower than we are, because they have to be more generalized than we are. But these solutions are very good solutions as well. And for generalized stuff, they're definitely better.
Yeah, I think it depends upon like how much security do you need. Maybe you trust like Ethereum with 15 block confirmation. I trust it with 30, right? So I think like it's better to have like a configuration by the user when they want bridge to choose how much security they are looking like get. Maybe that would be one of
I
those.
don't think they even understand how much blocks must be.
Sorry?
I don't think they understand how many blocks it should be to transfer one.
Probably we'll know after the merge it with some more Oracle manipulation attack of how much good a block the size should be.
So guys, we are right out of time. Thank you so much. And the answer to the question about the future rollup-centric or multi-chain, basically rollup-centric. Why? Because almost every chain can be used with a rollup on top of it, right? So, and on top of each rollup you can have another rollup, which is app specific. Different chains can call it differently, like subnets, but basically the same thing, right? So, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Let's go and bring something.